Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Collective Intelligence Block Party number 17. And we've been having a super cool conversation here. Welcome back, Myra. Welcome back, Emery. Welcome back, James. Welcome back, So. Welcome back, Melissa. Welcome back, everyone. And if you're watching the live stream, please feel free to join us. The link to join is on radish.org. Collective Intelligence Block Party. So we've been having an interesting conversation. I had really very graciously and very earnestly and very sincerely and with much urgency lobbied Professor Guy McPherson, his partner Pauline, and Dr. Yetow of Harvard to basically join the conversation. And which conversation, and by the way, I'm going to share some stuff here, so please, just if you have a question or comment or anything, please just raise your hand. Don't hesitate. But let me get properly connected here. Just give me a moment. Well, I'll just do that in parallel while I share. And we're basically, the conversation is really about what I refer to as the full stack. The conversation about the full stack. What do I mean by the full stack? I mean everything from whatever project we do first. Right now, we're mostly focused on ending hunger, right? Let's see here. And, we also have tremendous urgency around SRM. That's me in the other window there, so I can screen share. But let me, there we go. Okay, now I got it up. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Screen sharing. Okay. So the conversation is really a conversation about how to get to a whole world, how to save life on Earth, right? How to save, heal, and transform Mother Earth and all of her children, or maybe it's more appropriate to say all of her children and ecosystems, because maybe it's not our job to heal Mother Earth as as our mother, but I'm mixing words now, and anyway, let me not go down that rat hole. It's a conversation about how to save life on Earth, how to save, then heal, then transform. Save, heal, transform. Approximately in that order, though it's really simultaneous and holistic. And there's different pathways to get there. But regardless of the pathway, the conversation is about how to get there. Right? It's about one pathway. It could be about one pathway. It could be about another pathway. It could be about another pathway. Or it could be about all possible pathways and comparing them. Right? But it's about getting to a whole world, a world that is maximally saved, healed, and transformed. Right? Okay, so moving along, let me just show some slides here. So remember I said there's different pathways, 2 different pathways to get to a whole world that I'm going to present here. There's probably an infinite number of different pathways, but the most direct is that we just go straight from the conversation about the full stack. So in this case, the full stack is literally everything you see on the screen here, minus the title, right? Or no, including the title, because that's a part of it. So it's everything you see on the screen. That's the full stack. Right, so the conversation is a conversation about the full stack, right? Okay. And the conversation then leads to collective superintelligence as, you know, the foundation of all the solutions that we're going to co-generate. And among myriad solutions, CSI will also develop a strategy and a plan. And so the solutions really come here within whole world. Anyway, so that's one pathway, the direct. You know, another one is by addressing hunger first and evolving CSI from there, and then going on to the old familiar strategy and plan and all the solutions that we need. So anyway, let me stop sharing for the moment and just say that, you know, that's the conversation that I was inviting them to have with us, because I really wanted and still want their input on that conversation. And I shared with him the 35-minute video that I recorded late Monday night earlier this week. And they watched the video, and then basically Ye said, you know, Jamin, I think your time would be better spent doing fundraising for me and my project, and essentially stop working on collective intelligence. And Guy said that he didn't like the idea of ending hunger, because it would mean there would be more humans on the planet, which is actually completely the opposite. If we end hunger, we'll drastically reduce the birth rate, because people have security. They won't have to have 10 kids, you know, a couple of whom die, you know, most of whom are poor, but one or two of them makes it. Hey, if one or two of them makes it, you're good to go, especially in, you know, in what I call really truly civilized countries that are not like the United States. Doesn't come anywhere close. Mexico. Yeah, go ahead.
Was Guy joking when he said that?
He was absolutely not joking.
That's not a very good thing to say, is it? That you don't want to feed him.
No, here, let me read exactly what he said so that I don't misrepresent in any way, shape, or form. So let me do that. Okay, sweetheart. See you soon. Okay, here we go. Big long thread. So Guy writes, as ecologists have been pointing out for more than 5 decades, feeding people leads to more people. That's how we arrived at 7.8 billion people on Earth. Sorry, but continuing to feed people is adding to the future disaster for humans and every other species on Earth. And he said, I think mirror reflection, later he said, I think mirror reflection should come first, in terms of, this is what, and then he essentially agrees with Ye, and he writes, as Dr. Tao indicated, heaven forbid we should be on a first name basis, right? Let's constantly remind everyone who's got a PhD and who doesn't, right? As Dr. Tao indicated, we can also drum up some serious money for research, outreach, and implementation. Time is short. We have no time for convincing the masses. Well, I never said we should convince the masses of anything. And I clarified that later on. But anyway, it was, you know, it was a dog pile, and it was just disgusting. And so that's why I recorded that video that I sent out in today's email, which I'd be happy to play, you know, a portion of or whatever, just to be clear what I'm talking about there. I think that might be helpful. But I mean, and I wanted to talk about all of this with a very specific intention, with everyone here today, which is that we really get to the heart of what for me is appearing as a bifurcation between separation and unity, right? So basically what Guy and Ye are doing is their own separate things. They don't want to be part of a larger, conversation or a larger community or a larger community of communities. Guy wants to, do his own thing, have his own show, and that's it. It's one to many. It's a broadcast. And or he'll interview somebody or somebody will interview him, but it's just very small in terms of the number of participants in the conversation. And then Ye only wants to be working with, pedigreed, well, I don't know about pedigreed, but, at a minimum science and engineering undergraduates, and above, master's, PhD, et cetera, either students or postdocs or whatever. And so, but it's just separation. I mean, he's built his own team of like 25 students between undergraduate students and graduate students who are volunteering for the summer to help out. And, but it's like he's keeping them as, his own private stable, effectively, of resource. And his goal is to publish 10 papers by 2020. And here, I just wanted to share this other image from a different deck. Oh, actually, it's in the same deck. Let me just share the image. Okay. I just wanted to point out that I was talking about separation, which I showed down here at the bottom. And oops, just in the context of, the root causes of our problems, chronic world problems, acute world problems, mega solutions, and meta solution, that which generates the solutions, which is collective superintelligence. And so in terms of this separation thing, so that's really what I want to dig into and get to the root of that, because it's constantly, that crack separating people just permeates everything, even SRM. Here we are working on SRM, wanting to support Ye in any way we can. We're working on fundraising, etc. And he's just basically just telling us to piss off. And I mean, what a slap in the face. Anyway, I just had to address that. But anyway, I addressed that thoroughly in that hour and 20-minute video. But, and I asked them point blank in the video, what is your, and again, let me go back to these slides where I show the two different, these are two different examples of a full stack, right? But in both cases, the full stack is everything you see on the screen. And so I said, okay, so what's your full stack that you're proposing? So your goal is to publish 10 papers by the end of 2020, right? If I were to put that on a map like this, I'd say, okay, maybe in the upper left, it would be 10 papers, December 31st, 2020. There's 10 more papers added to the infinite pile of academic papers that never changed the world. And then I was like, okay, so what's next? If that's up here, instead of the conversation up there, it says publish 10 new papers by 2020. what comes after the blue arrow? What would be then down here in what now is occupied by CSI? What do you expect those 10 papers to generate? Who do you expect to read them?
Most academic papers just have 3 readers, and those 3 readers are their peers. It's quite extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, they're writing love letters.
There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to do open source. You know, all the universities, they've got some people at those universities who are working to make sure that the knowledge is available to all. But there's obviously going to be a lot of resistance because it's about reputation and money and keeping them an elite thing. I mean, the thing about Guy McPherson, he mentioned in one of his videos that he still had access to all the scientific papers because I don't know whether it's true now, but at least in some of the videos that I saw of his, he was still emeritus professor of Arizona University. Yeah. And that gave him the privilege of access. But, you know, Guy could very easily, maybe he already does, put those papers out for us to see, but maybe he'd be breaking copyright or something, I don't know, but he probably would be breaking copyright and breaking, you know, rules of the university or something. But the thing is, there's quite a big movement at the moment towards citizen science, and ordinary citizens are doing the work. They're doing it for free because they've got a passion for it and because they want to save the world or whatever. But there's a big citizen science movement. But it seems to me that Ye wants to work within Harvard, and he wants the Harvard students and to keep it like that. So his whole idea, he's not on board really with collective intelligence at all, is he? Maybe he thought that we could help fundraise, and that was his thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that's apparently what it is. I'm gonna pause here for a moment. All right. Well, you know, it was just mentioned a certain kind of transformation that some folks are hoping that Guy will attain, and I have a very specific and admittedly very simple vision of the kind of transformation I'd like to see Guy McPherson attain, and that is precisely a transformation from, you know, we're sinking, and there's nothing we can do about it, only love remains, yada, 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 to a whole different perspective that says, all right, I don't know if it's possible to save life on Earth or not, and I'm willing to have the conversation, and I'm willing to have the conversation with an open mind and an open heart, and even with the intention that if it's possible to find solutions, that we find those solutions. If it's impossible, well, then it's impossible, right?
Jamin,
yes,
he took part in that block party meeting with Dr. Ye Tao, and that was as much as what he said, really, wasn't it? But he thought the situation was dire, but he wasn't against solutions. He was. Look, that's why he joined the meeting.
Look, sorry for interrupting. There's two very different states that he could be in relative to solutions. One is to not be opposed to them. That I understand. But it's a completely different thing to be supporting of and in hot pursuit of solutions. That he is not. And I am inviting him into that conversation, and he's basically saying, oh, I'm not opposed to solutions. Hidden subtext, but I think anyone who's pursuing them is a total idiot because I think we're going down, right? And there's an element of self-fulfilling prophecy in that, which for me is very disturbing, and I think brutally unfair to life on Earth, to Mother Earth, to every species, including our own. because of the very simple fact that Guy McPherson is very much on the chessboard, right, of the planetary conversation about what's happening and making sense of it all. He makes sense of it for a whole bunch of people, right? And the conclusion of which is there's nothing that we can do. We're going down, only love remains. And so I think he's doing humanity and all of life on Earth a tremendous disservice. So the transformation that I would like to see is that he go from, not being opposed to solutions, at least publicly, at least expressly, explicitly. I actually think he's doing a lot of harm to the solution movement by not being a part of it, frankly. See, if he were to be actively supporting and in hot pursuit of solutions, I think that would move the needle. And the fact that he's not willing to do that, not willing to move the needle, is, we talk about people being tried for genocide. I think, he should be put on trial for omnicide, for contributing to omnicide. Go for it, Emery.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sort of like a point, maybe a possibility that what is actually happening is that when you take that stance that we're talking about Guy taking, right? Well, that in itself, it kind of precipitates the attitude from people, such as what is occurring. There's a resistance that takes place as a consequence of that attitude, because people will reject the point that there is nothing that can be done. So people, they get excited and they get motivated to find some solution, as opposed to accepting that point of view, which is probably a point of view taken to kind of promote that response in a way, because if he came with all the solution, right, then people could tend to say, well, oh, it's under control, and then not put the effort that really is required. I think that it kind of, even if I'm wrong, okay, that point of view kind of makes the effort more more resounding with people. I think people are more motivated in this circumstance because they're not willing to accept that way of thinking. They don't want to give up. People don't want to give up. There's more to do, and there's we're going to find the solutions. We're going to get together. We're going to have the conversation, and we're going to find what we need to do.
Imre, I think that's quite interesting. I mean, some people work well towards the deadline, but quite frankly, a lot of if you look on the videos, a lot of the followers of the people listening very hard to Guy McPherson's point of view, they're old. They're over a certain age. So you haven't got a lot to do as you're getting older, in the same way that a young person has. A young person with young children is going to be horrified at that news. And they just think, oh my God, my child is going to walk into a starving future and everything. So if they hear Guy McPherson, they, like you say, they could be very, very motivated.
Well, I'm just going to come in there anyway. I have my hand up anyway, but I'm just going to say like that. I agree what you're saying there, Emery, to a point in a sense. No, I'm not saying that I agree that maybe that's a strategy of his or anything, but I am saying I agree that his view on the situation as the way it is now at the moment is infuriating to those who feel that we should not give up in the effort to come up with solutions. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I get that can be the motivation, because it's doing that very thing here, like it's promoting that conversation here with us, as you said, like, so But the thing is that it's only doing that with a very, very few people who are in the know of the situation. And that at the moment is only just us here at the moment as well in this conversation, who are willing to get involved in this conversation to try and come up with solutions. What you're saying about him setting out to be purposely like negative and everything, I think he's, and it hasn't washed off on people. And I think he's gone to the end of his tether now, as I said. Like, you see, I kind of understand where he's coming from. I wouldn't blame him in a sense. As I said, I look at his morning ones now, his updates, his news updates on the stock market and the news, and I get a bit of you know, I find it humorous in a sense. Like, I see where he's coming from. I see where it's like, yeah, you know, it's all happening now, and you know, I've been crying this out for a long time, and you didn't fucking listen to me, and now it's all falling on your laps, and you've seen that humorous side of it, like, but that's not, like, in a sense, that's not very fucking humorous either, like, when you consider the consequences of what we're really talking about. So all I'm saying is that for whatever reasons, for whatever his reasons are, as far as I'm concerned, it's not for us to say in any way anyway at the moment. Like, whatever his reasons are, he's just not willing to get on board with the conversation because he doesn't see the solutions, because it's too late, is what he's saying. Like, you know what I mean? And that in itself, like, tells you a lot. But in the sense, in saying that, again, I feel that now, as I said earlier, now is when you feel that that you've been beaten down, and you're at that point where, yeah, fuck this, I'm throwing in the towel, and just, that is actually the moment that you're at your strongest without even realizing that that's the time to push, especially when you feel that you have reserves or backup, or he's been shouting that message for 30 years and been ridiculed for it. Now a lot of people, like such as ourselves, although as Jamin is trying to fucking point out, sorry the language, as Jamin is trying to point out all the time, we're all separate, all these groups that are aware of the severity of the 1% of us that are aware of the severity of the situation that Guy McPherson has been talking about for the last 30 years. We're all separated in separate groups or individuals who are trying to do their own thing, but collectively it's no good. Like, I get where Jamin's coming from. We all have to be on board with the same conversation, working towards solutions, or at least working towards dealing with what's going to be coming and how we can at least try to manage what's coming. I think, to be honest with you, I would say no at this stage that we would be more inclined to be getting the likes or talking to the likes of Jim Bendel or Roger Hallam or someone like that, because at least they're talking about the severity of the situation, and at least they're talking about dealing with ways of coping with the situations that may arise out of the severity of the situation at any moment in time. So they are in a sense talking solutions. They're talking about ways of dealing with it, how to cope with it, how to come up with solutions. How Jim Bendel talks of deep adaptation, how to adapt, how our societies need to adapt for the coming changing situation with the climate and everything else, and all that's going to throw at us. And those are the questions that the general public need to be speaking about. They need to be made more aware of. And unfortunately, Guy McPherson, he said it in a couple of his interviews, his biggest passion in life was teaching. And to be able to get that message across. And that was one thing he regretted, I suppose, because he had to, when he walked away from society and everything, that was one thing he regretted. But at that stage anyway, he was already forced to not speak to his students about the subjects he was talking about. So he felt he couldn't teach anyway. Situation, that's grand. But he's still a teacher by nature and by heart. And if he wants to teach, we're offering him a podium. We're only asking him to come and talk, get involved in the conversation, and at least try and motivate others to do as we're doing, which is get on board with the conversation and work towards solutions, even if we or he feels that endeavor might be futile. it doesn't matter. Even if you feel it's futile, you still work towards trying to fix it or come up with solutions for it. You don't just give up. Simple as that.
Okay.
And that's where I feel that he's letting himself and us down, or everyone, because he's given up.
Just say something. Just want to add one thing, okay? I see you're trying to explain it to infinitum there, James. Okay, he's the ultimate teacher. He's the ultimate teacher. That's his life, and what he's doing actually, I think, is he's throwing in everything he's got. He's throwing in the kitchen sink now. Okay, we're at the point he's throwing in the kitchen sink. Okay, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And I don't see the guy not willing. Okay, really. At the end of the day, I don't see somebody who's not willing to do, some things to help with solving the problem. But he's trying every angle. That's what I think. Okay, and given time, we'll see who's right here. Okay, but he's proven to me over all of the years now I've been listening to him. Okay, that he's committed. Okay, he's committed to putting out the information. So and I respect that. Now we're gonna have this. We're gonna have our opinions and our ideas and our perspectives of how it could be and maybe what he's thinking. We're gonna try to second guess everything that he's doing. Okay, but we're so close to the edge now of extinction. I mean, I'm not gonna start a war here. Let's just show our love there, get together, have the conversations that we need, and not kind of put bullets in each other's heads here. So
Well,
I just want to see things progress in a nice civil way and in a productive way. That's all. We keep it short and simple. My response here is short and simple. Let's carry on with what we need to do. Okay? That's all. Let's not get too elaborate here. It's very simple.
well, I agree with you. Maybe my accent comes across as I'm sounding aggressive, but when I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about, I suppose I do come across a bit aggressive. All right, I don't know. So, maybe I do, but I'm not trying. I'm not in any way attention to being aggressive or negative towards Guy McPherson. I'm agreeing with exactly what you're saying. I believe he's put 30 years of his life into this to try and get that message out, and that he has been committed and is committed to doing that. But I believe that he is at the stage now where he feels that 30 years, his message hasn't been listened to, and we're at the stage where he has been warning about for those 30 years. So there's no more he can do in the sense, I mean, he feels like what he, as his response to Jamin was, he didn't feel like taking part in it or feeding the world or blah blah blah. Whatever his answers were to Jamin, they were his reasons for. He even says it in his other video. I'm taking my own advice and I'm going to enjoy the days I have left. I'm not going to be producing as many videos or blah 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 anymore. And I can see by that, that he's still dedicated. He's still trying to get his message out there, but at the same time, he feels it's a lost cause, no? And I get that. I understand that. You know what I mean? I agree with you, Emery. I agree with you.
The hardest person by his side, the hardest working person by his side is Kevin Hester. Okay? And we don't give Kevin enough credit. He's been nonstop. Okay? And they're actually a team. They work together really well, I think. and you have no idea. I mean, if you follow Kevin Hester's work there, it's just amazing. And
I
of
do
course,
follow it, and I think he's an amazing guy. The guy just I actually feel I love the guy really. I love listening to his speaking, and I like I love his story and everything else. And I watch Nature or listen to Nature's Bat Last and everything else, Bats Last. But and I agree with you 100%. They are a team and they're brilliant together. And I really enjoy listening to Kevin Hester's talk. And I was really going mad the night he tuned into us there one night. But whatever connections we were having, that was the night we got cut off by the YouTube and everything else. So he tuned out again afterwards. We couldn't get through to, you know, it was a bad connection and everything else that night. But I agree with you. He's a great work. I love listening to Kevin Hester as well. Like, but
You know, new people are coming along all the time. A lot of people haven't come across Guy McPherson at all. So whenever a new person comes along, what he's got to say is absolutely new to them. So it may be 30 years old and it might be a few years old to you or to me, but every time a new person comes along, it's new to them. It's a revelation. So he keeps plugging that string, and you know, I think that's okay.
Well, here's how I see it. I've been listening to everything that was said, except for when I was feeding the crows. I got a little distracted there. The crows were getting very hungry and talkative. Anyway, here's how I see it. I love what you said, Emery, that Guy McPherson is the ultimate teacher, because he's certainly blasted his way into my mind and all of our minds. So he's A+ as a teacher. And you could, you can look at his tactics and his message and this and that, and you could, analyze it in a lot of different ways. And so I want to be clear that I'm not trying to condemn Guy McPherson for taking whatever position he's taking. What I'm rather doing is challenging Guy McPherson to have a conversation, right, at a whole new level where he can actually talk about what he's doing and why. What the hell has he got to hide? And maybe he's already talked about it and I just don't believe it or something. So let's go deeper. Let's peel back the onion and get into it. I think he's afraid to go there, right? Now, you can talk to, so if Guy McPherson is condemning humanity, which is pretty darn clear, right? And I'm not condemning him for condemning humanity. Raise your hand if you are condemning Jamin Shively for condemning elements of Guy McPherson's message, approach, and his unwillingness to go deeper, go further. I'm going to go on mute just to hear if anyone is condemning Jamin for condemning elements of Guy McPherson's message, tactics, and most importantly, his lack of interest in going deeper in the conversation. Going on mute.
No, what you're doing, Jamin, is you're motivating him. That's what you're doing. You're doing great. The more of this, the better. Because it's gonna pump him up. It's gonna pump him up for sure. Once it gets to the ears there, and to the senses, and to the heart there, it's gonna work. It works to motivate, and that's all we want. We want people to be motivated into action, okay? Especially the people that have the skills, that have the abilities, okay? We want them motivated. Let's go, and just keep repeating the message. Keep repeating what the reality of our situation is. Keep throwing in the kitchen sink. Everything is required here. Everything. And that's our work. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm doing is I'm just like, I'm upping the stakes by challenging Professor Guy McPherson, by challenging Ye Tao. I'm upping the stakes. I'm throwing down. If you accept my challenge, if you dare. If you don't accept my challenge, what does that say about you? Because the challenge, it's not about, a challenge to see who can eat more cupcakes or who can, predict which NFL team is going to do X, Y, or Z. No. The challenge is about the fundamental approach to saving life on Earth. Do we each stay in our separate sandboxes, or do we merge all the sandboxes together into one giant playground of sandbox? And, that's a fundamental question. How should we be going about this? He seems to think that just separating himself from the conversation is the best thing he can do relative to the conversation. And I'm saying that's the worst thing he can do. Can we at least have a debate about it? Can we have a debate about that? If that's what's holding us back. Or put another way, Guy, what would it take for you to actually jump into the conversation? I mean, would we like, how many degrees hotter would we have to be before you're like, okay, I guess it is worth having the conversation about how we might stop this? How much hotter does it have to get? Or are you just going to ride this out no matter where it goes? Are there no set of circumstances, Guy, that would, inspire you to jump into the conversation about what can we actually do about this? What's the full stack, high level strategy and plan to save life on Earth? Is there any set of circumstances under which you jump into that conversation? I mean, my goodness. The thing is, what both ticks me off about Guy, and what I'm committed to, what ticks me off is that he could be making such a difference by jumping in and being a part of the conversation, because he's so full of freaking knowledge and holistic perspective, looking at the whole, synthesizing it, summing it up, right? We need that perspective in the conversation, and he's withholding it, right? And that, I'm pissed. Mother is dying. He's got some important elements of the medicine she needs, and he's holding them back. Now, I could be mistaken in thinking that it would be a net positive for him to jump into the conversation wholeheartedly. Maybe he's going to be more effective to humanity in the end by doing exactly what he's doing and nothing else. I'm not here to judge that, but I am here to shake stuff up and challenge him and challenge us all to ask the right questions of the right people at the right time, including of ourselves. Emery, go for it.
Yeah, I feel that your reaction and our reaction and a lot of people's reaction, okay, is a testament to his success, really, in being the one to have painted this picture for us. I mean, he's like a Rembrandt, right? He's an ultimate teacher, ultimate painter. I mean, he's painted a very realistic painting. It's an exquisite work of well, we'll call it art, but it is an art of what he's doing. He's putting together the picture for us, and we can visualize it in our brain. Okay, he's showing us the facts, he's giving us the information, he's putting it together, he's lining up the dots for us. Our job, okay, and what our reactions prove, okay, beyond the shadow of a doubt, is the perfection to what he has done so far, okay? Because we are all convinced and we are all on board with what he's saying, okay? Even the love, because we're here showing our love, right? So, you know, where do I take this? You know, I think we're all doing the right thing, and he's doing the right thing. We just have to keep promoting it and spreading the word, spreading the information, passing around the beautiful painting. We're going to frame it in a way that's going to, you know, the painting's going to be hanging for our children, you know. We got to just continue what we're doing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally. So I'm complete on that conversation about Guy and Yay and all that, and I think it's very valuable to have that conversation for many reasons. And I'm even way more excited about Unity Week. I think there's just incredible potential there for basically us to find like-minded and more importantly, like-hearted people, not light-hearted, but L-I-K-E, like-hearted people, people who have hearts like ours, who say, let's do this, right? Join the conversation. Join the conversation. Yeah.
Welcome, Kevin Hester. Hey, Kevin.
That's actually me. That's my that's
You
my
fooled
other.
me.
I had actually written Guy McPherson there before. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I was just, you know, as we were talking, as we talk about different famous people, I put their name there.
Went over my head completely.
But anyway, I mean, the bottom line is that we and many other people are groping for the keyhole to open the door to this avalanche of innovation, implementation, transformation, and a bunch of other words that end in shun. And I think, yeah, and what I love about our long format meetings is it gives us just plenty of room and dimensionality to grope around. And I feel like we're tracing out the edges of the keyhole, right? And once we're 100% on the boundary of it, then we stick in the key, something like that. Because I feel like we've got a certain portion of the boundary already defined. Doesn't it feel like we're getting closer and closer and closer to the point where we actually kick over the first domino, V for Vendetta style? Yeah, thank you, James. It really feels to me like we're getting closer and closer. I mean, it's like we're getting to a point where enough of the right people are getting into the right conversations, including ours, but certainly not limited to ours. Thank you, World Unity Week and many other great things going on out there. But the big picture is that enough communities are forming, enough people are coming together of the people who need to come together. And those groups and communities in turn, like globules of fat on the surface of a liquid, whether it's milk or salad dressing or whatever, these globules start coming together, right? And I think World Unity Week is probably going to be one of the biggest gatherings of the right globules of the right stuff, right? Just because there's an academic conference happening on climate change doesn't mean they're going to make any difference at all out there in the world in terms of what's happening. they're painfully ineffective. Guy McPherson is the most effective academic I've ever seen or heard of among academics, echoing earlier points made by Emery and others, right?
He's my professor of choice.
Your professor of choice. Yeah, so I guess in the end, I'm hazing my favorite professor. That's what I'm doing here. I'm hazing my favorite professor. When I was at Microsoft, there was one time when two of the guys who reported to me filled up my entire office with helium balloons, like the entire office. It was just full. They had rented a tank of helium and bought a gazillion balloons and just filled. And it was just like you couldn't walk inside. It was pretty cool. But anyway, you know, they were hazing me, but it was them showing me the love, right? Anyway, that's a very different, not a really good analogy, but just sort of an example of hazing someone you love. So I'm hazing Guy McPherson. I love him, and I'm hazing the fuck out of him because he needs it and the world needs it. We're continuing to shake this thing up until we finally get the gold at the bottom of the wet, muddy, you know, pool. We're panning for gold here. And if you don't shake shit up, and yeah, from time to time, a piece of gold makes it over the edge of your pan, right? It happens, you know. Some people call it breaking eggs. Call it what you will. But we gotta shake it up if we're gonna get gold at the bottom of all this. Your painting there, James, looks like an eruption of gold. See, some people dig for oil. We're digging for gold, and we want that geyser of gold. Can you imagine a geyser of molten gold just whoosh, gushing into the air? Well, that's going to be the monetary analog to the explosion in innovation and solutions and strategy building and implementation planning and resource allocation, you name it. Okay. There's going to be an explosion of all the above, taking us on the most efficient pathway to saving the most of life on Earth possible, the most diversity of life. You know, it feels to me like we've got tremendous clarity right now. That's how it feels to me. And I feel more optimistic than ever because the globules are coming together.
I like that analogy. Anyway, we're panning for gold because, in a sense, we are really, like, I mean, we're really trying to sift through a lot of silt to pull out some golden nuggets, like, you know what I mean. So at the end of the day, like, you do gotta shake it up, like. So I like that analogy. You know, yeah, I agree with that.
Cool, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And we're doing it at so many levels. So for example, Yatow and company are focused on the technical. And maybe it's enough that we're the only people on Earth who know about him, right? His job is to produce the technical stuff. Our job is to market it. So now, but the reason I'm so ticked off at Ye, and not the fact that he was so insulting to me, but is that I believe that the technical work could be so greatly supercharged, turbocharged by collective intelligence. It's like Linus Torvalds, right? Look, if Dr. Yatow had been in Linus Torvalds' position, and Yatow's area of expertise was operating systems and not planetary overheating, we would never have had Linux. We would have had some crappy PhD of an operating system that no one ever heard of, no one ever used, and never got off the ground. And what I'm suggesting to Tao is to be a lot more like Linus Torvalds and a lot less like the current instantiation of Tao. Thank you. So, Emery, go for it.
Yeah, I can't accept or believe that Ye is the only one in this whole wide world, okay, that we could reach out to. You know, I think there must be thousands of people, you know, of his caliber, okay, who are able and capable of, you know, putting 2 + 2 together, you know, and you know, it's up to us here, okay, to create enough stir, enough momentum to start reaching these kinds of people, okay, to come and get involved and to show what they've got, show their stuff, show their stacks. Come on, you know, that's our job, is to create the explosion here, you know. You know, we're showing the colors of this comet coming in, you know. Come on. That's our job. And we got to find these people. And we need them to come here or to do what they know, what they're capable of doing. We want to see results.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, we're here to shake stuff up and stoke the conversation, just like you were saying, Emery, and get everyone involved in it. And not that we're the only ones who have that job. And, you know, just like we're not the only firefighters working on putting out the fire, and it may be another team of firefighters who ends up putting out the fire and not us. So be it. I still want to be a firefighter in this.
I mean, we're not to say that we're perfect. It's going to be perfect, right? It don't have to be perfect, but at least we're doing it, you know? At least the process is underway. It has been underway. It's just, you know, it's got to be louder, a lot louder. You know, this social media thing it's a job, you know, get around, to travel around, get around. A lot of work, takes a lot of people, you know. So, get more people to the party and get working, get cracking. Send out those links. Every link you put out there, it's like a bus. Okay? People get on board. They hop on the bus, it's a link. And it's gonna take you where you need to go.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, and World Unity Week, I think, is going to be a huge opportunity for us to actually recruit folks for the conversation. And it's June 5th right now. World Unity Week doesn't start for over 2 weeks. So we have time to do a number of cool things. One thing that I would suggest we take on is those of us who are willing to host a conversation in World Unity Week, or more than one conversation, we should create a process and, you know, a Google Doc or whatever it takes for people to basically sign up, people within our community to sign up during World Unity Week to give a talk. That's one of the cool things. Anyone can set up a talk there on World Unity Week. So we can all set up talks at whatever times work for us, and, you know, try not to overlap too much with other folks from within the block party. But, you know, we basically have as much coverage as possible on World Unity Week, so that at a minimum, when people are scanning to see, you know, what's out there, what topics are out there that they might get involved in, at a minimum, they'll get a number of, you know, imprints of Radish. And
I'd just like to interrupt you there a second, Jim.
yeah.
I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I'd just like to welcome Kevin there. He just joined us.
No, that's actually me. I had put his name there when we were talking about Kevin Hester. Let me take that off.
Sorry, man. I put up hello, Kevin, and welcome, and all. I thought that was he's after joining in because he's been listening or something. I was saying, well, fair juice to fucking him anyway.
Nah. Sorry. Okay, there I put radish.org. Actually, maybe I'll put block party. Emery sometimes does that.
That was quite cool, though, and very effective, though.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Ugh.
What other names can we put up there?
We need to get everybody up there. But it doesn't necessarily have to happen here at the block party. If it happens at World Unity Week, great. I have a feeling that no matter where it happens, we're going to have a significant part to play in it. That's just my feeling.
I didn't cop that at all, that you put that up a while ago. So I actually did think it was he was after joining in with us or something there, and I was saying, fuck, that'd be handy if we did, like. But no, just what you were talking about there a while ago. There, now when you were in Microsoft and the boys put all the balloons in your office and everything else. Like, what did you say that? What was the phrase for that?
Oh, hazing, benevolent hazing.
Maybe a form of hazing that you could do there is perhaps add a few names, put a few honorary guests, nameplates on a few empty spaces there, and basically it's an open space for them to come and join whenever they want in the form of hazing them. Like they have their space in the conversation already booked for them. Like, we'll just leave it there, and it's open to them to fill it if they want. Because I was actually going mad that night when we missed out on having a chat with Kevin Hester that night as well, because I would have really enjoyed having a chat with him.
Yeah, as I recall, he had a connection issue or something like that. Or maybe it was only, yeah, I think he had a connection.
Yeah, it was the same night that YouTube shut us down as well and everything. There was a lot going on that night, so you got distracted and you weren't even aware it was actually Kevin Hester was after arriving in the room. It was all kind of confusing, and he ended up.
Yeah, Kevin is very short fused, you know. He's ready. He pounces on the point immediately. You know, so when you're talking to Kevin, you gotta be on point.
Good, good, good. Yeah, I remember one time he joined the Solution Club. That was probably a couple years ago or so. And we had a good meeting. But anyway, bottom line, people are going to come in the order in which they choose to come. And I think we just need to be ready for whoever comes and continue to refine our message. I mean, how is this concept of the full stack resonating with you all? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I mean, am I missing something from there? Is there a better way of saying it? Going on mute.
Sounds good to me. He said it pretty well in the video. And the thing is, they understand. They know it. They know what it means. People who get it, you know, they understand. So I don't know as far as something better than that. But I mean, for people maybe who are looking at it like as an audience, maybe a clarification wouldn't hurt. You know, apart from that, just a side note, I just, you know, had some kind of weirdo idea that, and this was just all brought into my imagination by what you did, Jamin, with the names on the in the chat here. Maybe we could have some kind of incognito. Show up incognito, you know? Like, I don't know if you understand, but I guess some kind of a disguise. Like a masquerade. If it helps, definitely be interesting. It'd be fun. Maybe something around October. Do some kind of Halloween thing.
Well,
Like a kind
oh, I'm sorry, James. Go ahead.
No, I thought there was no one speaking. I was just, you mean like a kind of a fancy dress, Emery? We could show up as different characters, that kind of a way, like.
Well, yeah, something like that. I mean, it's just a seed of an idea, you know. Can be thought out. Some kind of I mean, some kind of a party thing, you know. It's like a scenario that we could, you know, create some kind of a scenario. Uh, could be characters, or you know, uh, like be a character. It could be a fictitious character. It could be, you know, a lot of things. It's up to you, up to your imagination. But I mean, the 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 thing behind it, though, the concept behind it and the understanding behind it, you know, would relate to the issues that we're concerned about, you know, like saving life on the planet, you know, ending pandemics, cooling the planet, you know, all the nuclear energy things there, the radiation, et cetera, the extinctions of all the animals, you know, the vegan thing, you know, like there could be a lot of different angles, is what I'm saying. And you could be the character. Just a thought.
No, it's a great thought. In fact, going back 3 years ago, Guy McPherson and I and another colleague who I will not name, as you'll see why in a moment, the three of us got together and did the Guy, Fawkes, and Jamin show. Guy, Fawkes, and Jamin show. Not Guy Fawkes, but Guy, Fawkes, and Jamin show. And Fawkes, spelled Fawkes, as in the famous Guy Fawkes, no comma, you know, the subject of, you know, V for Vendetta. Or, you know, the main, not subject, but anyway, you know, the main mythical, not mythical, but actual character who tried to blow up Parliament in England, you know, I forget how long ago, a long time ago. Anyway, Guy Fawkes. So there's the famous Guy Fawkes mask. So my unnamed colleague, who was the same every time, by the way, would show up with a Guy Fawkes mask on. Hence the Guy, Fawkes, and Jamin show. And we would talk about all this stuff. That was the closest I'd seen to Guy like really getting into it, right? And then, you know, after 20 episodes or so, he bailed. One of those episodes, we interviewed Daniel Pinchbeck.
Hey, you never know what could happen. At the edge of extinction, you put on a mask.
You know, a thought occurred to me building off the idea that we could have multiple of us, of our community, participating and essentially representing the Block Party at the Unity Earth Week or whatever it's called, right? World Unity Week or whatever. Okay. Even if we, even if you didn't want to just like lead a conversation for a whole long period of time, another approach could be you play select video clips of actual Block Party meetings, right? So that people get a taste of what we talk about in some of our most impactful moments. We've had some really impactful moments, right? And we could play a series of clips, screen share and play a series of clips. Or, you know, or even if we can't do it on our own device, like if it's a phone or something like that, we just have the links there and be prepared to paste them in the chat for when somebody else shows up and we say, hey, do you mind screen sharing? Who's going to say no? If they have the capability, of course they're going to screen share. These are just YouTube videos, right? Screen share and play some segments of video for, you know, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever. And then take a pause from that and say, all right, are there any questions? They'll say, yeah. So what's that? Well, I just got here 15 minutes ago. What's this whole Block Party thing about? CI Block Party. Well, I could put it in my words, but I'd rather play for you this 5-minute clip that just nails it with visuals and everything else. Here it is. Bam. And, you know, what we're setting out to achieve is to come up with all the solutions that we need, strategies, etc. And here's another clip on that. bam, and it's got like the whole full stack and everything else. And then you pause and say, okay, any questions? Right? It's basically like having a booth at a trade show. And what I'm suggesting is that we make sure that somebody is sitting at the booth as much as possible, so that when people walk by and they say, oh my goodness, collective intelligence block party, you know, I bet a bunch of people will stop by. And this is kind of our, just like at a trade show. Let me put it in the following terms. If I went up to some manufacturing company in Indiana and I said, hey, I want to look at your product line and catalog, they'd have me sit down with some salesperson, and we'd have some meeting, and it would be kind of tense because they're trying to sell me something and I'm trying to not get ripped off, and whatever. And it's just kind of like, we're both on the clock or whatever. And versus a trade show, an expo, a convention, where there's a whole bunch of booths, it's real easy to just walk up and say, hey, what you got? Great. Mind if I, take a business card and a sample? Sure, go for it. Great. All right, we'll be in touch. You see how easy that was? Right? So for me, having meetings at different times during World Unity Week is like us manning a booth, right? Or personing a booth, right? During this conference. And just having some collateral to share, right?
That's a great idea.
All right. Well, everybody, I wholeheartedly endorse and support and encourage every one of us in our community to sign up on World Unity Week or whatever it's called, and volunteer to host a meeting, right, about the block party, and then just let us know. Let me know, and then I'll include it in the next, email. Hey, sweetheart, how'd it go?
Great. And I asked her if she wanted to interview you about block party, and she said absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Wow. All right. We got a journalist who now wants to interview us about block party. See, we set the intention of promoting the block party, and look at what's happening.
But you know what though, Jamin?
Thanks, sweetheart.
I mean, this can be done. This can be done. Apart from any kind of apart from anything else. Yeah, I mean, you could do this at any time. Anybody who comes to the block party here, I mean, can do that. You got a Zoom account, you set up a meeting, and, go through some of the videos, share some moments with people, it's like an ongoing booth. You could do that all week long, all month long, at any time. It's up to you and the energy that you have to be able to do that, right?
Right. But here's the thing about World Unity Week is that it's 1 week intensive when hundreds of thousands or maybe millions, hopefully, will be coming. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them will be scanning through the different items on the menu. So I'm saying is let's focus our efforts on doing that booth thing during World Unity Week specifically, right?
I get it.
As opposed to doing it outside of World Unity Week. So just anyway.
All I was pointing out is that both could work. I mean, but what you're saying, definitely.
Yeah, I'm saying that's the priority, because here's the thing. You want to fish where the fishes are. right? You want to go fishing where the fishes are, not where they're not, right? Pardon the non-vegan, example. In our case, we want people, not so much scientists and engineers or people from this profession or that, but people who get the whole unity thing. That's fundamental for us. Those are our people, right? If we were a tribe, we'd probably be called the World Unity Tribe, because that's what we believe in, right? So World Unity Week is arguably the best place on earth, the best venue on earth, the best week of all 52 weeks in the year in which to recruit people who are part of the Unity Tribe, who don't know about us and we don't know about them. James, you look like you're sitting on something. Hey, you're on mute.
I am, my coach. Yeah, so let me get this straight. So you want us, right, we individually sign up for the week, and we choose a time for ourselves. We say an hour slot. Then we find the videos out of the library of videos that we've done in the block party that are of interest or poignant or significant to us. Therefore, when we look over them ourselves, we'll be able to answer any questions that might be posed if somebody tunes into that room. I get where you're coming from. So, how would we present that? Like, would it be like on behalf of the collective, James Desmond, on behalf of the Collective Intelligence Block Party, a discussion about such and such a thing? Something, I don't know, how would we advertise it, but how we should do it anyway, definitely is as you said, we only have a week's window, so we should get together on this now, and we should work out a rota so that we're covering as many hours in that week as possible, and that if possible, that one or two of us can join in, and the other person as well, to fill the crowd, kind of a thing, and ask if people join in, get conversation going at least anyway, you know what I mean, help to get conversation going. But yeah, definitely work out a rota so that we're all doing it at different times, as much time as possible covered in the week. And throw that link up for us there again, because I probably missed that earlier, and I'll just copy that link so that I'll register for it.
Oh yeah. Let me get it. And just to answer, absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what I was thinking. Let's cover as much of that week as we can, because it's 24/7 during that week. So I'll get the link for you and paste it up there, unless somebody beats me to it. But and then I also wanted to say, whoever is going to do that, please feel free to use my Zoom account, which lets you go for 24 hours at a time if you need to, as opposed to the free account, I think, caps you at 40 minutes or something like that. And of course, we don't want a meeting that short. I would say ideally more like a couple of hours, right? So, because it is a festival. People will just be coming and going. So it's kind of, really, I think the booth analogy is the right one. And then as people pop in, we play them some video clips. We first talk in our own words and say, hey, this is what this is about. Hi, I'm James. I'm here in Cork, Ireland. They'll be like, wow, you're in Ireland? Wow, that's cool. I mean, I guarantee you, 9 out of 10 Americans are going to think it's super cool that you're in Ireland, right? We see people on television from England all the time. Boring. Ireland? We're like, what? Right? You saw my reaction and Nolan's. Anyway, I'm just saying you're definitely an ace in the hand there, James. Emery, so are you. So are you. We're all super cool. I mean, because we're real and we get the unity thing. So people who show up, number one, they're going to be friendly. They're going to be into the unity thing. And the unity thing is all about non-judgment and just freaking getting together and hanging as fellow human beings. Emery, go for it.
Yeah, so I just wanted to look at this in a certain way here. So we're talking really about a possibility of 168-hour block party, right? Okay, where it's a unity block party. It's going for 1 week, and we can organize it in such a way that it's a block party of different blocks of hours, right? 168 in total because it's 7 days, I understand. So 24 hours in the day, we'll do 7 block parties in a row. And we pass the baton of the Zoom room over to whoever wants to take over, as like you have a host and you have a co-host, right? So it would be you set it up, right? And then before the 24 hours is up, you come back in and you set it up again so that it doesn't kick anybody out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well, it's actually easier than that. I could set up a series of 7 different 24-hour meetings, each of which would commence at exactly 6 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern, every single day of all 7 days of that week. It kicks it off for 24 hours. People come and go. I just make all of us co-hosts or whatever, right? We get that worked out. And then everybody knows that at 6 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, everybody is going to get booted out and then come back in on which link? The same exact link that brought you there the first time. What could be simpler, right? And that way we keep it at a fixed time. It's not like some random time that moves around, but it's just fixed. Boom.
I guess it's a possibility, right?
Well, and here's the thing, right? I think the important thing is to have it covered for all 168 hours. Let's say that, James, you signed up for a given 4-hour segment. You know what? I'm not doing anything on, whatever, Thursday between da-da-da, whatever. I'll take that 4-hour segment and you're there, right? By default, you're just kind of hanging. Some people will show up. They'll be fascinated with you and your story and your accent and your Irish, and they'll just be fascinated. Absolutely fascinated. And they will, and then when you want to play a video for them, they'll be glued to that. And when you stop share or just ask them, hey, by the way, do you mind? I mean, because it's a unity thing, everyone will be very happy to help out. And if there's 5 people in the room, 3 of them will have laptops and therefore the capability to screen share. Simple as that, right? The main thing is be friendly, which all of us are, and just say it in our own words. We don't really have to have much prepared at all, other than a few video clips just to have them at the ready. In fact, we could have video clips that answer specific questions. In fact, we could get the whole Q&A done right now. Seriously, we could do a Q&A of 20 questions in the next couple hours. And let's do it. Why not? I'll just do a separate recording for each. And then you'll be like the Terminator with a big, diagonal belt of bullets across your chest. So any question they ask, you just pull out the right bullet and bang, you play the right video. And that's it. Oh yeah, we addressed this question. Here it is. Bam. Oh yeah, we addressed that one too. And even if it's something close, it doesn't have to be exactly the same question. Like, let's say they say, well, what do you guys think about, spirituality and religion? Right. Well, we don't have that one addressed, but we do talk about a new story for humanity, which is you know, kind of in the same ballpark, right? You know, it's like saying, hey, I don't have ice cream, but I do have frozen yogurt. With that, would you? Yeah, okay, sure, give me one. Like that. Here's what I think. Now, having played that video, and here's what I think about spirituality. And, you know, we talk about it. And basically, all faiths are welcome, agnostics, atheists, everybody welcome, right? And we believe that what we're doing is deeply spiritual. You know, shoot, look, we're ready for any question. We'll just ad-lib the answer, right? And it doesn't matter who does the talking.
Yeah, a Q&A is a good idea, all right, like, because you have to be prepared anyway. If you're going to host something like that anyway, it doesn't matter. Even if you are prepared to host it and just show videos, you are going to get questions, so you have to be prepared for that. So obviously it'll be whichever videos we choose to pick out ourselves, we're going to go through the videos. We're more or less going to know what questions are going to be asked or whatever, but we'll definitely have our own opinions on our videos, our chosen videos anyway. Like, so if anyone does ask questions, as you said, we're well able to be able to come up with a proper answer for them anyway, given that we chose those video clips to put on for these people anyway. So, but working on a Q&A is a good idea as well anyway, because not all of us, including myself, would be familiar with any of this now, to be honest with you.
You know,
Yeah.
if there would be enough time, a good angle, a fun angle would be like to create a takeoff on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you know? And you have like specific questions, right? A participant that could be involved. And who wants to save, like who wants to be saved? You know, what, like saving life on the planet, kind of the angle there, right? So like if instead of winning $1 million, you're saving life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But the questions could be, you know, designed to cover the subject matter, you know?
Yeah, totally. Well, look, thinking in terms of World Unity Week, again, I'm thinking of it in terms of a booth at a trade show, because the reality is people pop in, kind of sniff around. It's a festival, so they're going to be hopping from room to room. And so what I think is that, I mean, if the game is simple enough, fine, make it a game, and then maybe that'll keep people to, you know, induce people to stick around and play. Right? What's your idea, sweetheart?
If I may.
Of course. Oh my goodness. If you may.
I mean, you know, because I'm interjecting. Sorry, guys.
No, my goodness.
At the studio and back and forth. And hi. With my paraphernalia. Hello.
She puts that on whenever I don't take a shower.
It's the new fashion statement. What if? Oh, I love the President Donald Trump.
Yeah, the president joined us.
Wow. Well, that's funny. Are you a spy?
No. That's actually the other window over here, because I screen share.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if, because each one of us have very particular, a very particular style, mood, flavor, gifts, whatever you want to call it. What if any of us who participate create our own little window to peer into? So I'll just take myself as an example, right? I could set up one of my installations and I could talk about artful activism and the way art engages people in a dialogue around transformation, awakening consciousness, and healing life on earth. James, you're an artist, so you could figure out your way of bringing your particular brand, your particular music or flavor into a room. So maybe yours is the gardening thing, you know, permaculture. Emery, you're an artist. Yours could be through music. Jamin, you're an artist. Yours could be through collective intelligence, you know. So I think we could stage this not only in terms of what we're expressing or sharing with our words, but also visually or audially. You know, I think that could be really attractive and bring people into the conversation. That was my idea.
Like a variety show,
Totally.
variety presentation.
With meaning, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great. Sorry, Jim. It's a great idea. It's because as Jim said, it's like a world's fair, or like a world's trades fair of intellectual conversations. So you need a storefront. You need something to draw them in. Like, so definitely, yeah, that's a great idea. Like, well done, Melissa. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Heck yeah. And listen, and if multiple of us are there at any given moment in time, right? Then what we could do is have even breakout rooms, right? There could be an artful activism breakout room, right? Let's say that Emery and James are there, and you're there, Melissa. And Emery and James are really into some conversation with a few guests about SRM, and they're just going off about SRM. And then a bunch of kind of artsy folks show up, and they want to talk art. Well, Emery and James want to talk SRM. Melissa, you could create a breakout room for artful activism. And then, of course, James and Emery, for newcomers, hey, we're talking about SRM here, but if you want to talk about artful activism, just click on this breakout room, and you can meet with Melissa and a few other folks there.
I like it and I don't like it. I'll tell you why.
Mhm.
My experience with Rebel Wisdom is when they did the breakout rooms, if sometimes, you know, a person would be talking about whatever and one person would turn up or nobody would turn up, and then you're lost in space. And I think what could be really interesting is if we had specific time slots for each room, and that the crowd followed to that room. So you already fill up the room and then other people join in, so that we are all mutually supporting one another. That would be my thought there. Because there's nothing worse than nobody turning up to your room, right? Then you feel like shit. Excuse my language, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's not fun, right? You feel left out. It's not good. You don't have a conversation. Yeah.
So I have an idea that would make that impossible to happen, which is the following. You would only go to a breakout room if there's like a bunch of people there in the one main room, and half want to talk about topic A and half want to talk about topic B. You take 5 people and you go to a breakout room, and the moment when that 5 dwindles down to 1, rather than that one person, you know, starting to cry and, you know, take shots of whiskey to, you know, to dull the pain of loneliness, they simply go back to the main fucking, you know, to put it in Irish terms, go back to the main fucking room, right? Or depending on what's going on there, the main fucking room. But anyway.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, you could make it the magical mystery tour, you know, and now we're going to go visit James in Ireland, and everybody goes to Ireland, you know, and now we're going to go visit Emery in Canada, and now we're going to go visit President Donald Trump in Barbados, or I don't know.
Moscow.
There, you know, if we were kids, that's what would happen, right? The teacher would take us all together as a group to the garden, to the fairy garden, or, you know, to the library, and you go as a group. So anyway, that's my suggestion.
Emery's got a point, but first,
Yeah.
I just want to say super quick, what you're talking about, sweetheart, could be achieved by just having one single main room.
Yeah.
And somebody just hold a magic wand. Now we're going to Cork, Ireland. Maybe play a little piano or something, and then, you know, James has the floor.
Yeah.
Now we're going to Montreal.
Yeah.
And Emery has the floor. And speaking of which, Emery has the floor. Hey, look there. And now we're going to Montreal, Canada. Emery.
Bonjour.
The only point that I could make really is, personally, I would keep the process as simple as possible. You know, we're on all that technical aficionado, you know, and So I would keep it as simple as possible. At some point down the road, these breakout rooms seem like a fantastic option, but I don't think we have the number of like the people yet to start uh, looking at breakout. I mean, it's there for sure, but that's something to be developed. I think a little bit better. And for now, I would keep it simple, and possibly as these slots are developed, time slots are developed, that at least two people be there from the start to finish it off, and maybe working in tandem with the next people that come to take your to come into the next time slot, and so on and so on until the 168 hours are completed, right? And of course, it could go around. It'll probably repeat itself somehow, right? Given the fact that it's a period of 7 days, I mean, you're going to be involved most likely every day. If you want to be involved in it, you'll take your 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever it works out to. And there could always be a panic button. You press a panic button and somebody else will come in and carry on with the show. The show must go on. So, we know all this in advance. So, you'd know what to do in those circumstances, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You were
trying to
muted, Melissa.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sweetheart.
I was just asking Jamin, it sounds like you're talking about 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I said we'd have to get quite a few participants to fill those slots. And yeah, so that's just something to think about. And the other thing that what I'm wondering is there is something about novelty. So, like if your favorite painter is going to be exhibiting for just one day, you want to make sure you get there, right? But if that it's going to last for 7 days, you might not bother until the last day. I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, do we attract more people by being less available, not less available, but having a shorter slot of time rather than 7 days where, the numbers might, I don't know, numbers might dwindle, or, do we do every other day so that people can start talking about, oh, this cool group and you got to see them. They're going to be on Wednesday and then again, and then on Friday. So you can build momentum without exhausting yourselves. I don't know.
We had a discussion about that, which I'll recap in a moment. But first, James wanted to talk, and then I'll recap that, and then Emery. Go for it, James.
Yeah, no, I agree there that with Emery there we should keep it short as well. Like, but what Melissa is saying is more or less what I'm saying as well. That would mean a 24-hour, 7 days a week kind of a thing. Like, that's a big effort, and you need a lot of people to fill all that space. And also the fact that, like, I'm not sure how long are the time slots. Are they specifically an hour or 2 hours, or what's the story? I'm not sure. But as Jamin was saying there, because I didn't think of that, if you go over the 40 minutes on Zoom, then there's an extra charge and things like that. So that has to be taken into consideration. And we don't want all that expense on you either, then, Jamin, you know what I mean? So how about...
There's no expense. That's a non-issue, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But carry on.
Right, but I'm just saying, just to simplify it even further a little bit, and in going with what Melissa just said there, if we just choose the 40-minute slots on the Zoom for each of us, and then we choose a 20-minute segment, no, it won't work, no? All right, fair enough.
No. Here's the thing. We don't want to just have a million 40-minute, 20-minute little micro slivers. We want big blocks that people know they can just show up. Melissa had to take a phone call, so I'll recap for her in a moment. But remember, like a trade show, if you go to a trade show, raise your hand if you've been to a big trade show where there's like more than 100 booths. Okay, everyone's been to a big trade show. What do you do at a big trade show? You walk the aisles. What do you do when you come to a booth where there's nobody there? You take a quick glance. You look to see if there's any chocolate bars on the table. If there are, you grab them all. If there aren't, you keep walking. But you don't make a mental note to come back, right? I mean, unless you just are in love with that brand or whatever, right? If there's somebody there, you get serviced. If there's nobody there, you don't get jack squat and you move on. I'm just saying the more of the calendar we can fill up with people, the better. It's that simple. Because what this is not is, the lifetime of a teenager, and there's only one opportunity to see Bon Jovi in concert, and oh shit, if I don't see him in October 25th, I'll never see him. This is not the life of a teenager who goes to rock concerts. This is a one-week event. It's like a trade show. It's a festival. There are booths. We either have somebody at the booth or we don't. And I'm saying let's have somebody at the booth. Emery, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that, we're talking about the block party, and there are plenty of block parties that are already complete. This is number 17. So there's plenty of material that's already been established, which can be played, it can be shared, okay, in its entirety. If it, I'm not saying to play it in its entirety, but the fact is, I don't think that there's thousands of people that have seen one block party, and for you to share a block party, okay, as one, as part of this week-long, gathering of unity, it's not a big deal, So you shared a block party, and you're in the meeting. You're the one sharing, and doesn't prevent anybody else coming in to participate. And if somebody does come in to participate, well, you welcome them, and it could be an introductions or whatever, some back and forth, and on with the show, So yeah, I think it's doable. There's plenty of material.
Yeah, go for it, James. And then I remember I wanted to address what you said about the Zoom thing. Let me just address that real quick. I have a Zoom account, the premium account or whatever it is, and that allows me to do unlimited meetings of unlimited duration effectively, right? It's like having unlimited cell phone minutes on your cell phone plan. You just call when you feel like it and you don't worry about it. It's like that. So whoever is going to be there, you will have my username and password to be able to get on there and do it. Be on for, Anyway, so that's a total non-issue. We have unlimited usage of Zoom, and it won't cost me one penny extra because I pay an annual fee just to renew the thing and have it. Go for it, James.
Right, yeah, I know about that. Thanks for explaining that. Yeah, well, my point anyway was like that in keeping what Emery was saying about keeping it simplifying it, not overcomplicating it is what I'm saying is. For us, I'm talking about, no, for us individually, does, but as Emery said, we're not all technically capable either. Like, and I'm definitely not used to the idea of hosting something like this either, so it'll be new to us as well. Neither here nor there. Point I was making was that a 40-minute slot is even an hour slot, even a 2-hour slot. It depends on the video you're choosing, you see, and what it is you want to work with, and how much time you feel you can cover. So you're going to have to figure out how long is the video, and then you'll have questions, and can I answer the questions that will come up around this video, obviously. So you have to be prepared for what you're putting on. And so, yeah, I suppose I was just wondering about the expense for you as well. But what I was saying is, if we're keeping the short at an hour even, what I'm saying is not putting the pressure on us as all the members of the Block Party. It wouldn't be putting any pressure on any of us then, because we could choose an hour's time. We could make out our rota, make sure that the rota doesn't all cross at the same time, so that we're all picking different times, and make sure that we have as much time in the week covered as possible, and do as many of the hour slots as possible. If we want to do 2-hour slots, 3-hour slots, or 4-hour slots in a day, that's up to yourselves, or a complete 4-hour slot in one go. It depends on how much material we all bring to the table. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, yeah, fair enough. That's grand. But I get where you're coming about the Zoom now, so that makes no difference.
Yeah, but James, the material is already there. Okay, there's no need to recreate the wheel for the time that you are going to be spending there. And I mean, you're pretty well exercised. You're pretty well capable of spending, 7-8 hours at a meeting, right? I mean, we've done 17 of them, so that's relatively easy to do. Now, it's just a matter of being able to say from the start, okay, I'm going to commit myself to this, and this, right? And then follow through. And everybody is going to have their day in the sun if they wish to, or are able to participate. Everybody will, Myra and a lot of people, Jackie, you got Miles, a lot of people already very well are familiar with the content, okay, and it's not very hard to share your screen. So facilitating, the material, okay, it's going to be easy. And like I say, you can always stop share and talk for a bit about some certain important points or that are brought up in the presentation of the Block Party. And so you can go back and forth over a period of whatever time segment you're working at. It could be a 5-hour, 6 hours, 7 hours, whatever. It's not the most critical issue. I mean, once it's established, it carries through, right? And it doesn't. And we're not even saying, I don't think, that this has to be a 168-hour thing either. It could be, half of that or whatever you want to decide, right? The whole point is, I think, is that at least we are a part of it, okay? And we're putting our money where our mouth is, I guess, right? So we'll participate in it to whatever we can.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's exactly what I was saying that myself, but I was just trying to make, keeping what you said about keeping it simplified and whatever. But I suppose I overcomplicated them by going on too much. So I'm more or less saying what I know the idea, but anyway, choose what videos we individually want to put up ourselves on, and the slots we choose, and be prepared for the questions. I get it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. All right, so what Here, I just want to screen share real quick. This is Radish. This is the block party page, right? Block party. Okay. You scroll down past the schedule, the current schedule, archives of previous block parties. Let's just like take a look at number 10, for example. Just click on it. It takes you to a page. And okay, that's not a good example because it doesn't have a lot of annotation. So, okay, apparently that's a YouTube playlist. Here, let's go to a more recent one. Let's go to number 15. Here's what I wanted to show. Nolan has gone to the trouble of, look at this, what he's put together here, right? This multi-page breakdown. So it's like if you're fishing around for good videos, right? Then let's see. Here's, we've got it chunked down into 12 videos, part 1 through part 12. And here Jamin kicks it off and gives a recap. So it's like, oh, I want to find something where Jamin's talking almost all the time. You might pick that one. Divine Feminine with Will Tuttle, right? So look at this. You see how this is broken down? Here, I'm going to make it a little bigger. It's looking a little small there. Okay. The Divine Feminine with Will Tuttle. Let's see. See, look, we were talking about science and religion are both products of the herding culture. What do you think about religion? Well, here, let me play this one memorable segment. So you click on that, click on it.
Is that both science and religion are products of the herding culture.
Isn't that awesome? Didn't Nolan just do a kick-butt job creating the link right to that moment?
It's incredible.
Right. Isn't it?
Yeah. Fantastic.
And here, let's just scroll down. Let's see. Science is not our friend. It is used to destroy life. What? Click on that. Click.
All of us. Science is not our friend. It is used to destroy life. If we were...
Super cool. Super cool. So you guys, we've already got the vest of bullets that we need in terms of content. What's missing? Q&A, right? Here, let's see. This is fun. This is like a video game, right? It's like a menu. These are snacks on the menu. We should have these up on Snack Bar. Look, Jamin on science, climate change, veganism, and SRM. I got to hear this. And look, you can even deduce how long it is. It's 2.5 minutes long. That's about as much as I can stand from Jamin anyway, so let's give it a go. Here, look. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Huh? Thank you, sweetheart. Love you, sweetie.
Love you too.
We're probably going to take a break in a few if you want to celebrate or something.
Yeah, okay. I'll hang out.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question it has to do with science and ultimately climate change. Now, I was actually raised in a family where evolution was, my mom was a biologist, anti-biologist. So I learned about evolution. Was totally into it until I watched this amazing documentary called "Unlocking the Mystery of Life," put on by the Discovery Institute. Absolutely mind-blowing. And the obvious conclusion is, wait a second, life is designed. It's not chance, it's design. Anyway, but that gets into a whole other paradigm. Now, so I do not believe that science is like this great source of truth. I see it as a how-to guide. Like, I was at Berkeley, and I think sounds like we overlapped in the 80s. I studied undergraduate civil engineering at Berkeley, and I'm really good at making like concrete structures, for example, among other things. And it works, right? So that's science that works, and it's irrefutable. I similarly work on climate science, work with Guy McPherson, et cetera, and I am absolutely convinced that that's happening, and we need to cool the planet, and the only way to do it in time is solar radiation management, a tool, again, not an explanation of truth, but a tool to cool this giant spherical system called planet Earth and its atmosphere. So anyway, and where I'm getting to with that is when I met Dr. Silas Rao about 1.5 years ago, I was like, oh my goodness, Yes, absolutely veganism. So it became veganism and SRM to cool the planet. And we actually came up with this thing called vegan reflection, where we married the two together. And that became an important precursor to what we're going to talk about in the next hour, which is Operation Stone Soup, etc. So I just wanted to express that, and if in 30 seconds you could give a quick answer. I mean, because one of the things that, quite frankly, bugs me about a lot of vegans is that, like, that's all they want to talk about is veganism, and I'm like, wait a second, there's this other thing, and that's how we created Vegan Reflection. Anyway, back to you, followed by the next guest. Next question.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Jamin. No, I think.
Man, that Jamin guy, I could listen to him all day long. But anyway,
He's got a great voice.
thanks. So, look at this. This is brilliant. So here's what I propose. Speaking of vegans, we're going to have the Vegan Collective Intelligence Happy Hour from 5 to 7 today. Well, normally it's 5 to 6, but we're mashing that up with this other, with a conversation on race related to veganism and compassion and all that. So anyway, that's happening in 2 hours. Here's what I propose. Between now and then, let's, number one, take a break. On the break, let's make a list of all the questions that we'd like to do Q&A on, right? Like, why is Melvin so badass, right? I'd like to know the answer to that question. Emery, maybe you can answer that. Anyway, you know, etc. So let's just take a break when we're ready. I mean, it's been almost 2.5 hours since we've had our last break. So I say, let's take a break. But is everyone down with just coming up with a list of questions that we want to do Q&A on?
I'm not 100% sure on what you're saying, like, why come up with a list of questions, because I would have thought you would have been, like, saying, are these questions that you'd be expecting people to be posing and that we should have the answers for, is it?
That's exactly right. You know,
right.
So somebody might ask, you know, in what year was the Collective Intelligence Block Party founded? Well, that's an easy one. So, you know, we'll just have like a little data sheet for, you know, February 2020, Jamin Chively, Reddit, you know, whatever. So that's simple. But what I'm talking about are more like topics that we're going to want to have like a, you know, more than a 2-word answer for, right? Like, you know, what's your guys like, you know, like philosophy about, like, you know, life and stuff? You know, that's a perfectly reasonable question. Another one might be, you know, what do you guys think about climate change? Another might be, what, you know, which problems do you think are the most urgent for us to solve? What are your favorite solutions? Why are you guys here? Right? What gives you hope? You know, stuff like that. Stuff that when they ask the question, we're like, great question. You know what? We've got a 2-minute video where we address that head on. And here it is. Bam. Click play. That's all.
I get you. All right. Yeah, I get you.
All right, are you game? Are you game, James? Okay, sweet. Emery, what do you think?
Seems like quite a mouthful to start here. Gonna need a long break.
Well, look, we don't have to come up with the exhausting list of the complete definitive list of questions for which to do Q&A. Just come up with a few. You know, we can take a 20-30 minute break. If you come up with a couple of questions, great. If you come up with a list of 10, great. If you come up with a list of 100, great. If you don't come up with any, great. I'm just saying, you know, let's at least we get thinking about it. I'll come up with some. And then before we even do any recordings, we just, you know, work on the list a little bit, say, great, these are the ones we want to do. And then we record between 2 and 5 minutes each. Bam, bam, bam. We just stamp them out. Like Belgian waffles in a waffle iron. Melvin has to leave for dinner. Melvin, man, I was getting you all jacked up, bro. Saying how cool and badass Melvin is, and now you're leaving for dinner. That's just bullshit. All right. Anyway, so Melvin, you and I will have to sort that out later. But in the meantime, everyone think about questions. Yeah, go for it, Melvin. What's up?
I have to take a nap. I've been having with my grandchildren, 4 of them, full of energy. They wore me thin, and I need to get ready for this evening at 5 o'clock with Jackie. And even in between then, I got something to do. So I need to get a little shut eye.
Get your nap. Get your nap. Go.
Okay.
Get your nap, bro.
Thank you.
We'll
Hey there, Jane.
we'll see you at 5.
All right,
All right.
Melvin. You take care, man. Catch some Zeds, and we'll talk to you in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.
Be good. Be safe, man.
All right. So is everyone feeling it? Does anyone have any questions about the act of coming up with questions? Let me just check in with So real quick. So, any questions about coming up with questions? I know you rejoined us in the last few minutes or so.
So to get different conversations going.
Well, so here's the thing. I'll just give a quick recap for So. So we've got this World Unity Week coming up, June 20th through 27th or something like that. And we have an opportunity to basically have a booth there, right? So, hundreds of thousands of people, hopefully millions, hopefully more, will be showing up at World Unity Week, and they'll be able to browse through all the different talks that are happening. And we could basically have, for lack of a better word, a booth where we're constantly giving a talk. Well, it's not one talk, it'd be a bunch of different ones. And ultimately, ideally, we'd cover all 168 hours of that week, right? With, people signing up for different time slots. I don't actually think.
When you say a booth, do you mean, is this you're going to be there in person?
No, it's like a virtual booth. So it'll be a Zoom video conference room off of my account. But because I need to sleep, I won't be there all the time. And so you might say, hey, you know what? I'd like to be there from, noon to 4 p.m. London time on these 2 days. Great. That gives us coverage. You see what I'm saying? And, that doesn't mean that it only has to be one of us. There could be 10 of us there at a time. Doesn't matter. But it would be valuable for us to be able to have as much time as possible so that when people drop by, there's somebody there in the Zoom video conference room. And so now what we're talking about is having a bunch of videos that we could play. I'm going to screen share again just because it's so much fun.
Okay. So one thing you might have already covered this is you could ask the question of the people who come in there: how do we transform the food systems, for example? You could say, we've got a crisis with animal farming, animal cruelty, with deforestation, just do a brief overview of all the problems really quick, and then say, how do you propose we change our food systems and change it rapidly? So they'll just stand there or put they're there at that kind of thing anyway. They're already clued up, and they'll put their stuff in, and you'll have it on film, all the good ideas. So it'll be like a collecting booth. You'll be collecting people's good ideas, because I haven't really got any brand new ideas personally. So it would be it'd be part of the collective intelligence culture of collecting good ideas and getting people to hone ideas in their heads and go away and think, and maybe they'll come back and say, well, I thought a bit more about my idea, and it's already been done, but how about this? So it would be part of collective intelligence culture to ask questions of them and ask for them to give the answers.
I love it. I love it. And so here, let me show you something that's really cool. Okay. I was showing this earlier, but this is these are Google documents that Nolan has put together for each of the recent block parties. And let's see. Hey, welcome back, BJ. Hey. So anyway, so check this out. As you can see here on the screen share, this is all the different meetings of the May 22nd block party, but broken down minute by minute, right? You know, here's where Silas says food is where it is. Well, looks like that's 1 minute long. Let's listen to Silas for 1 minute.
I think food is where it is. Food is absolutely the place where we need to rebuild the system and rebuild the system around healthy food, healthy immune boosting food that's available for free to people, so that it is so that base is taken care of. Because I see all these reports about people in Guatemala, walking around with white flags to indicate that they're hungry, and different colored flags with for different needs. But white flag is hungry. People in India also suffering from hunger, all because the system is designed to just dribble things from the top down, and it's now making people all sit at home, not do anything, and subject themselves to this. So it's awful. So we need to rebuild it. Rebuilding it as, and I think I'm beginning to really like your idea of bifurcation, the marketing bifurcation. Howard, making a statement like that, that we need to have healthy food available to people for free. And this.
Now, this is interesting. So back on the Google Doc, yes, there's a 1 minute portion where he's saying food is where it's at. We need to, rebuild the food system. And the next is, hey, he is beginning to like Jamin's idea of bifurcation, da-da-da-da-da. So you see, this is really broken down, a lot of it. I guess he really focuses on the sections where it really makes sense to break down. But I'm just saying, this is a ton of work that he's done, which gives us a really incredible menu of little segments. And in fact, probably a lot of what most of what we would want to present is right there anyway, because Nolan has indexed the most recent block parties. The older block parties are getting more and more obsolete. That's okay. It's a great historical archive, super valuable. But I'm just saying, I'm really glad that he's indexing the most recent ones. So we got lots of great stuff to choose from.
One thing I was thinking about, I've been thinking about it slightly before, but you mentioned SNAP. We don't have it in UK, but basically it's food stamps, isn't it? People have food stamps. Well, if you could get into the food stamp organization, and to get those food stamps would move away from high fat, high sugar, low nutrition food, and that those food stamps could be used for the opposite of that, high nutrition foods, sensible calorie intake, lots of color, lots of nutrition. When I went to a Walmart in America, I was in the South. I was very shocked that I was looking for vegetables, and I was so shocked that I found it hard to find any. And when I did, I found lots of guns. And then when I did find the vegetables, they didn't look real to me. They looked like they'd been polished and something had happened to them. But I was talking about it to someone from America, and they told me that in poor areas of the South, where people haven't got a high income, they can't afford to buy lots of high nutrition foods anyway. And so what happens is that the big farming area of California, they can't be bothered to take a lot of trucks, and they can't be bothered to deliver it to those supermarkets where there isn't a big market for them because of the price, and because quality food is always higher in price. So that was the answer I got. But if you could somehow get the new system to link up with the free food, because I like the idea of universal basic nutrition, like everybody has free food as a basic, and then if they want, you know, extra this, that, and the other on top, they can have it. But if you could somehow link it to that SNAP system that you've already got, and that's already very widespread, and if you could link it to the health issue, the pandemics, and make a very, very strong argument and get the whole system changed over through the food stamps, or one aspect of it.
Interesting. I never actually had thought about that, about the food stamp thing. That's an interesting idea. And
It's interesting that somebody at one time, do you remember when food vouchers, it was SNAP, but do you remember when SNAP first came in? Do you remember the news about it? Was there any resistance to it? Were there people saying, oh, why should they get free food and we have to work and all that, all those? But it happened in spite of all that opposition, didn't it? It came into being at some stage. So what I suggest there would be lots and lots of opposition. You can't tell people what they're going to eat. If they want to eat sugar, they can eat sugar. There'll be all that. But the point is, the whole sugar thing in America and everywhere, not just in America, here as well, it's that they subsidize sugar massively in America. So more is grown, more is subsidized, and you have to have a market for it. There's got to be the customer for it. So it's all a fixed, rigged system anyway that makes people get addicted to sugar and buy all these sugary foods. And it's the same over here in UK. You know, buying quality food, like quality vegetables, it costs a lot more than buying some cheap luxury, you know, some cake or something. You can have as many cakes as you like at a very low price. But buying real food costs a lot of money. So the poor end up getting fat, as the same as they do in America. So yeah, that's just a few thoughts.
yeah, a lot of those points are very well known in the United States, and we have this concept of a food desert. What you're talking about earlier about an inability to get fresh produce and whatnot. Very well studied, well known, and a lot of efforts are being made. I see our efforts as, you know, the ultimate solution. Operation Stone Soup is the ultimate solution to all of those problems, and it just does it holistically and really gets to the roots. So in our conceptualization of Operation Stone Soup, food stamps would become essentially obsolete, right? Because food would just be delivered to everyone for free. There would be no token transaction. The tokenization of food is probably the main thing that's screwed it up, and food stamps are an extension of that. So you have gotten me thinking about how we might utilize food stamps while they still exist, but our ultimate solution is to make them obsolete by just feeding everyone. Emery, you've had your hand up for a while, and then I'd really like to encourage us all to get ready to take a break, because we need it. It's been over 2.5 hours since we've had a break, and we've got a little bit of homework to do on the break for those who choose to do it. Go for it, Emery.
I just had something to say about what Nolan had done there with all the videos. You know what I see a good possibility of doing is taking those snapshots, okay, from the videos that he points to a certain segment within a video, is to create another video, just that segment, and it's a video on its own, okay, and then that could be listed or posted with a link to the block party. You know, the link is right there, and you've got the video as a taster, as an appetizer. Let's call it whatever you want, and you could have dozens and dozens and dozens. I don't know. Sky's the limit. You know, whatever Nolan is capable of, you know, putting segments to take that segment and just produce a video of that segment, like a screenshot of that segment on a video, in a video on its own, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, it seems like he's got it pretty finely sliced as it is. So I'm not sure I'm getting what you're saying there, Emery.
What I'm saying is take those slices and produce a video of that slice. So that slice becomes a video on its own. It's like a 2-minute, it's a 2-minute video, case closed. You know what I mean?
Now I do. Now I do. I totally got what you mean. Thank you.
And that can flow. That could be posted, you know, it's easy.
Perfect. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, what he has posted give you timestamp links to a larger video, so you land at different points in the middle of a larger video. But please keep in mind, for our purposes of what we want to achieve for World Unity Week, they're of the same value to us, right? Because all we're going to be doing is screen sharing and clicking, and or passing the Google Doc link to somebody else and asking them to screen share and click.
I'm just considering the future, you know.
Oh,
like
no,
it can be carried on to help with future work that needs to be done.
No, there's no question that would be valuable. All I'm pointing out is that it's not particularly valuable for World Unity Week for the scenarios that we're developing, right? BJ, welcome, and you got your hand raised. I again want to reiterate, it's really high time for us to take a break, so if we can be concise and kind of move in that direction, that's great. Go for it, BJ.
Okay, hi, everybody. If y'all want to go ahead and take a break, I'm just really glad I got in on that part of seeing what Nolan has done. And I have been thinking about a time when Will Tuttle spoke, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is so beautiful and concise about the divine feminine. And he has had other things, but I want a way to search for that and find it. And I'm just thrilled to see those sections on there. And we can talk more about that later, but good to see y'all.
Okay, yeah, great to see you, BJ. So is everybody clear on the homework? Any questions? Okay, yeah, BJ. So here's the homework. Just any questions that, so during World Unity Week, we're essentially going to have a virtual booth. It'll be a Zoom room, and people will be able to come and stop by and say hello and ask questions. So the idea is that we have a whole bunch of answers ready for questions that are asked, answers in the form of videos. And so we're each going to come up with our favorite questions or the questions that we're most afraid of or whatever, so that we can record videos for each of those. Those will be specific standalone videos. We'll just do record. I'm thinking 2 to 5 minute videos. Somebody asks a question, boom, here's a 2 to 5 minute answer, right? That also gives them a taste of the block party, because this is the block party right here. So whatever answer we give comes from the block party. So the homework is to come up with any questions that you would love to see us create a 2 to 5 minute video. We're going to have a quick conversation about those, and then we're going to record a bunch of them.
Wonderful.
Okay. So we're going to break. Let's break for half an hour. Let's just break to the top of the hour, and then we'll have one more hour until VCI Collective Intelligence and the segment on VCI Happy Hour and the segment on race. So we'll have 1 hour to crank out, you know, I don't know, 25-minute videos. Wait, no, 23-minute videos. You know, minus time in between. So, you know, we might come up with 10 3-minute videos. So let's make them count. We'll spend the first 5 to 10 minutes figuring out which ones to do, and then we'll just do them and do them and do them and do them and do them. And, you know, it's not like our answer is going to be gospel, but it's more just a sample. It's a sample of what comes out of the bakery of the CI block party. With that, I am complete. Anxious for a break. Let's resume at the top of the hour, unless anyone has anything burning to say in preferably 10 seconds or less. All right. We'll see you all at the top of the hour. Thanks so much. And I'm going to stop recording, of course.